Thank you. Mark just reminded me that we needed to record our webinar here. So some of you may know this if you participated in our introduction and our overview back in February. But we've done some of this work is grounded in the work who's sort of synonymous with the approach called courage and renewal. And the quote here is, "New leadership is needed for new times, but it will not come from finding new and more wily ways to manipulate the external world. It will come as we who lead find the courage to take an inward journey toward both our shadow and our light. A journey that faithfully pursued will take us beyond ourselves to become healers of a wounded world." This work is grounded in a true commitment to social justice, and we feel that it's a really good organizing framework for the work that we will be doing together. So what this does is the work, as we work together, we will have content, specific content that we'll talk about in a few moments. We will use strengths-based assessments. We hope to expose you to compelling leadership stories, that you as a cohort will build an identity with each other, that you will have opportunities for formal and informal mixing and mingling with a range of leaders, opportunity to work in small groups, to self-reflect and to integrate your learning. We intend this and have designed it to be accessible to diverse learners, and that we have a whole range of pre- and post-academy activities. As you know, you've been invited to 3 pre-academy webinars. We'll have some associated materials that we will ask you to review, which we've tried to make the academic load on this relatively minimal, but to try to have you as familiar with some of the key concepts as possible before we get together. In designing the curriculum, as I mentioned, we use courage and renewal as an organizing framework that we come back to throughout the course of our time together. We use an approach called collective impact as I think a really powerful model and guide to working towards systems change. We will ask you to do a strengths-based assessment. We will dedicate one of our webinars to that. I believe it's the next one in 2 weeks, and ask you to complete that, and it will generate a report that we will use together to talk about your strengths as a leader. We now, as this is our second year, we have a highly experienced faculty. Actually, we have faculty that have come from a range of backgrounds and come together for this experience. And while you are the second cohort, we brought, I wouldn't know how many decades of experience of leadership training into this academy, and we're really pleased, I think, with what is developed and the refinements we've made for this year. There will be some opportunities for you to organize your own learning. We call that open space, and we'll provide the forum for that. There'll be large groups, small groups, discussion, reflection. For those of you who I'll say perhaps you'll be disappointed if you really love an early start, but we start our day with coffee and mingling and chatting between 9 and 9:15, and really try to have a very hard formal start time of 10 o'clock in the morning to give people time to reflect and to really mingle with each other. We do have breaks during the day, group experiences. We mentioned the webinars pre and post, and then we have follow-up coaching and groups that will meet together across the course of next year for self-reflection. Some of the content here in the graphic, I said that the academy in the middle is grounded on courage and renewal, and then 4 strands that we will come back to over and over. The first one, and we'll talk about this in a moment, that how our work is grounded in history of advocacy, disability rights, and independent living movements. And so we'll have opportunity to explore that, opportunity to explore self-awareness and personal and our organizational strengths. How do we put that into the framework of collective impact? And how do we look at the kind of broadly at skills related to developing partnerships, networking, and community organizing? And then as we do this work, we try to keep in the front of our minds as we're in the delivery side is to make sure that it is informed by a sensitivity and awareness of cultural and linguistic competence, universal design for learning, and experiential learning, adult learning methods. So we developed a little bit of, we just talked about a little bit about, we developed this by looking at what works. We think that we have a curriculum that pulls together values, strengths, and commitments to social justice, and it's designed to engage you as adult learners. And now we'll talk a little bit about what we will learn. We will visit the National Center on Civil and Human Rights here in Atlanta. It's about, I guess it's maybe 3/4 of a mile from where the academy will be held. We will have an introduction to that work by Mark Johnson, who's a disability advocate and really one of the founders of the disability rights activities, and he's based here in Atlanta with us, not with us, but at a place, the Shepherd Center near to us. We will frame that in a discussion of our shared commitment to social justice. We will expect that you're not on this call, you're not intending to come here if you don't have that commitment. And so within this, the themes that we will hit on are the history of disability and rights and independent living as movements, the evolution of disability policy, some of the critical issues we are still confronting in national policies, some state level issues, and then the commitment to advocacy. During the time we are together, we will have presentations and activities and leaders of UCEDs, and I know now I'm introducing an acronym, and some of you may not be familiar with that, but those are the University Centers for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. My recollection of everyone who's on the call and who will be in the cohort at this, that should be familiar to at least 20 of you, as is the acronym LEND, Leadership, Education, and Neurodevelopmental Disability. Those two programs are highly represented. We also do have folks from different kinds of disability organizations and community organizers and state programs, including the Councils on Developmental Disabilities. And then during our time together, we want to feature this idea of successful partnerships that do involve multiple organizations and perspectives. So the universities, community partners, advocacy organizations, and provider agencies, we feel these are the coalitions that we're going to need to have to move an agenda forward in the next decade. And we feel that this also illustrates one of the tenets of courage and renewal, that leadership involves creating space where people can discover their resources. So we really want to be grounded in a strengths-based approach. So we use this framework of collective impact. I think many of us are familiar with the idea that, and the phrase of conducting our work in silos, that we work independently, work on an issue when either some specific external funding source is removed or is no longer available, or a critical staff member changes, there's no sustainable change. And if we want to have sustainable change, how do we work together and more broadly to create a common agenda to ensure that we have shared measurements and metrics to measure what we're doing and whether we're doing it and achieving what we are seeking out to do? How do we work in a way that's mutually reinforcing, that all benefit? How do we communicate continuously? And what is the backbone organization that will keep this alive? Mentioned before the values in action, the VIA. This is an assessment of 24 character strengths that describe who you are in everyday language. And it's based on you have strengths and even stronger strengths. All the participants and the faculty will complete the VIA prior to the academy. We'll review the findings and discuss them in small groups, really as a way of kind of examining why do you have a reaction to different people who may operate in this world differently than you do. There's a link on this video that there's a link to a video that you can take a look at. We mentioned that the character strengths, one of the reasons we selected this particular measurement tool of strengths is that, one, it's in the public domain largely. It is accessible to all. There's no cost for a free assessment. We will actually subscribe to a higher level of assessment of your strengths, and we'll have the printed reports for you here when you arrive in Atlanta. But the other reason is that some of these key words of what a strength is could be creativity or curiosity or judgment, perspective, bravery, perseverance. And those are words that are in our everyday vernacular, I think, and that it means something, I think, to all of us. That we have zest, we are honest, we are socially intelligent, we are kind, we love, we have we demonstrate leadership. So I won't read the other 12, but I think that you can see, you'll see that there's nothing bad on this list, and some of you will be characterized by what will happen is maybe half a dozen of these as dimensions of your character will be identified as strengths. So we talked about three of the key features: the history of the civil and movements, collective impact, and the VIA. So how will you be learning? The slide that's up, you see the large conference space that we have. Some of the learning will happen in interaction conducted across the circle on the left. In the foreground is Brittany Curry, who last year served as a graphic facilitator and is scheduled to do so again this year. You see an example of her work on the right-hand side of your screen, which is then this graphic where she was extracting themes that were part of the discussion that appears to be an early discussion where we were talking about some of what drives our work, and you see some of the themes that emerge just out of the discussion. We don't need another leader. We need people to instill leadership in others. A quote from Ella Baker. And so, again, I think it's a way for those who may want to be reminded of conversations to be able to return to them across the course of the days together. Who are we? We have the names of three of us from here at Georgia State on this first page: Mark Crenshaw, Emily Graybill, and myself. Andy Imperato from AUCD will be with us for, I think, a day and a half or 2 days. Mark Johnson from the Shepherd Center will be here. We'll be joined also by Andy Roach of our Georgia State here. And we'll be joined by Olivia Rayner from UCLA and Zoe Stoneman from University of Georgia, two UCED directors who will be here talking about sort of issues that in sort of strategic planning and positioning their organizations through times of change. And then lastly, Matthew Williams will serve as our facilitator across the course of the week together. And Matthew's we've worked closely with him in the design of the program last year and felt that we had a wonderfully successful. He played an amazing role last year in the success of the program. And we're so pleased for him to come back again. So we mentioned these three items that we want to come back to: the universal design for learning, cultural and linguistic competence, and experiential learning. I'll assume that most of you are familiar, but just in brief, universal design for learning means that as we work together, we want to make sure that there's multiple means by which information is presented. There's multiple means for people to act and express their response to that information or to take in and process that information. There's multiple means of engaging people in the processing of that. To do that, we try to ensure that we will provide you with some print materials. We will work to make sure that those have the key points highlighted and that those are presented to at least in abstract form at an accessible reading level, that we will provide information and presentations in print, in video, and in audio format, And we'll have the graphic facilitation throughout the time that we're working together and in small group sessions. Cultural and linguistic competence, we have faculty and participants from diverse backgrounds, perspectives, and lived experiences. And our goal is to support your resilience and commitment to create leaders and advocates who recognize and honor diversity. Small group, that this is the, sort of the strategies for experiential learning or adult learning, small group discussions, problem solving, time with faculty, time with participants will have a schedule of follow-up activities and presentations. We'll ask you to have year-long coaching sessions at your home organizations, and we will facilitate discussions over the course of the year with a group that we call allies, self-reflection allies. We'll form these during the Academy week, and they will meet. This says monthly. Actually, I think in practice, we had folks meet approximately every other month over the past year. So far, I think maybe our last ally phone call was conducted this week, but and people have reported that as being a very critical component to their continued learning and development as a leader. We will ask you to we'll ask you to come in with someone in mind who might serve as a coach to you over the course of the next year. It could be someone in your organization, someone who you admire, who you value the perspective, someone who will be available to meet with you face-to-face in general. That's what we prefer, but obviously things can be customized based on your needs. And that we would recommend that at least 2 of the sessions would be one where you perhaps watch the coach at work and the one where the coach watches you at work. Other than that the times be established to discuss progress toward a goal that you'll identify during the Leadership Academy. And we'll provide more background and information on that as we have time together, and we'll have a introductory or our first post-training webinar will be on the role of the coaches. So today we are presenting this introductory webinar. We have one scheduled 2 weeks from today that will introduce strengths-based leadership and the VIA, and we will have a webinar 4 weeks from today and 2 weeks before the start of the Academy, preparing you philosophically, I'll say, for the courage and renewal content, and give you a chance to begin to sort of move around in the space of that material and content. So what will it look like? You'll arrive sometime on Sunday. We would imagine we've got a late start schedule, but we do have kind of a critical opening session there. We will provide dinner on that first day. And then over the course of the next 4 days, the schedule will look somewhat similar in terms of there being a kind of a gathering time in the middle. Those who would be interested in meditation, there'll be a guided meditation period available. There'll also be a time where for folks who want a little bit more ability or opportunity to preview what we'll be talking about, a time to meet in small groups with our facilitator and our faculty, and then begin to congregate together at 9:45 and then really, as I said, having a hard start at 10 o'clock in the morning. On the first day, Monday, we will travel together to the National Center on Civil and Human Rights here in Atlanta, and it is guaranteed to be a powerful and moving experience. We'll return to our training space, and I'll talk about that in a moment, to do a conclusion on that, just an initial wrap up on reflections on the day, and then we'll return to kind of discussions on Tuesday morning about other responses, particularly as folks have settled in overnight and reflected on the content and the messages at the Center on Human and Civil Rights. We will then go again opening session at 10, lunch in small groups. I think that will be the time we'll introduce the VIA excuse me, results. We'll have a break. We will then come back together, afternoon content. And the next 2 days will look much like Wednesday will look much like Tuesday. Thursday, Thursday there will be a extended period where you will work in small groups. We will provide lunch. I'm sorry, I don't know why that's doing that. We will provide lunch, and we will have a break at the end of the day and I'll say a wrap-up dinner together. The plan is that we will do it on the rooftop of our College of Law, excuse me, where our conference space is located. We'll be at the ground level. This dinner will be at the rooftop, the top level, clearly. So that's a new development for us. We think that that's intended, I'll say, to be a time for a little bit of unwinding and connecting. Our last day together, and I will emphasize this, is Friday morning, and we really do ask that people plan on being here until 12, at least 12, and probably 12:30 on June 29th, Friday, June 29th. And the asterisk here says, because of traffic, we would suggest if you're making flight arrangements that you'd schedule them for 3 o'clock or later on that day. Hello, Andy Imperato. I see you you've joined us. Let me cover a couple more issues, Andy, and I'll invite you to comment, okay?
Sure.
After the training is done, I'll say we still are committed to working with you. We're planning 6 post-training webinars, so roughly 1 every other month. We are planning, we will invite you to participate in self-reflection ally group meetings with 3 other members of your cohort and a facilitator from the faculty. We invite you to have coaches meetings in your place of work or where you are operating, and a picture of our beautiful College of Law conference space. This picture, the picture on the bottom right is it's filled up with conference tables. The Conference of Law building is in the middle. It's a relatively new building, opened in 2015. It's we say 1 block to the hotel. That we have a room block reserved, and I'm going to say it's a pretty short block. This one says 3 blocks to the dorms. This is a recycled slide from last year, and I will say we're not making the GSU dorms an option this year because we felt that was a failed and unsatisfactory living experience for some of last year's participants, and so the hotel block is 1 block away. If that price is daunting to some, then I would say check out the B&Bs or Airbnbs in the area. We're on the trolley line, and we're across the street from MARTA, which does run directly. That's on the line that runs directly from the airport to the through Atlanta, but including the Peachtree Center stop, which is where we're right across the street. And just, you will be getting, when you're here, a binder that will talk to you about what you need to know, links to further information, recommended readings and references. That'll have bios of the faculty, staff, and other members of your cohort, copies of all the PowerPoint presentations, schedules, and these will also be on flash drives. We will be distributing material, though, ahead of time to you for review. Part of our goal there was that depending on the length of your plane ride, you should be able to do all of it on the plane before you get here if you were to procrastinate that long. Not that we would ever encourage such a thing. So we talked about UDL, cultural linguistic competence. Okay, I'm getting a little feedback. Active learning, coaches and allies, schedule and conference space that encourages interaction and reflection and materials. So Andy, before we start, and I've got several slides with all of our participants, do you want me to show them and then invite you to talk, or do you want to talk now?
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this map shows the stars are your group, this cohort, and where you are respectively located across the United States and the Pacific Rim. So we have one participant from the Northern Mariana Islands this year. Last year we had one person from American Samoa. And then, so the blue circles are last year's group, and the darker blue stars are this year's group. We're happy with the geographic diversity and as I mentioned before, the quality of the applications we received. You are faculty and staff of UCED and LENS. You are current and emerging leaders. You represent community and university partners, and you are members of committees and community advisory committees. So here are some of the names, and actually, if you are on the call, is Asha on the call?
Yes.
You're here. Well, welcome, Asha. Asha, it doesn't say it here, but it's from Massachusetts, if I recall, from Boston.
Yes.
Is it Ellen or Aylin Aponte? Is Aylin with us? So you may be on mute. Is Vanessa with us?
Yes, I am.
Hello, Vanessa. And where are you, Vanessa?
I'm in Sacramento, California.
Very good, thank you. Is Brenda with us?
I am with you.
Hi, Brenda. Nice to meet you
Hi.
virtually. Iowa City, Iowa, so we know where you're from.
Yes.
Katie Bentley, are you with us? If I recall, I'm going to say Katie might be from Kentucky, but I don't want to be held to that.
She is.
She is. Okay, good. Jack Brandt, Jack, you with us? If you are, you're on mute, but Jack is with UCED at Virginia Commonwealth University. Is Paige with us?
Hi, I'm here.
Hey, Paige. Nice to meet you. We were glad to see someone from AmChip in the group. It was nice to see your application and to have you join us. Is Leah with us? I know I saw your name earlier.
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Hey, nice to meet you virtually. Is Jennifer, do you use Jennifer, Eileen, both?
Oh, I just go by Jennifer. That's fine.
Okay. Hi, Jennifer. And I'm sorry because you have the most inconvenient time, I think, for this call. What time is it in Northern?
It's 6:30 a.m. on a Friday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Oh, well, we're really happy you're going to be part of us. Is Brad on the call?
Yes, this is Brad.
Hi, Brad. Nice to have you. Brad is at Monroe Meyer in Nebraska. Is Jerry on the call?
Yeah, it's actually pronounced JD, but I'm here.
JD?
JD, yes.
Okay, thank you. And is Betsy on the call? Okay, I got one.
This is Eileen. You
Oh,
missed me before.
okay. You were muted, I guess, huh?
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad that you told us you were here. Elizabeth Jenks?
Yes, hello.
Hi, Elizabeth. Elizabeth Jarvie, or is it Ellie or Ely?
Yes, I usually go by Ellie. I'm here. Hello.
Okay, great. Yaa? From Rutgers? Lorianne?
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Great, we're glad to have you. How about Susanna?
Hi, yes, I'm here. Hi, everyone.
Terrific. And Jean Makowski? Jean?
Yep, I'm here. Hello.
Hello. Stephanie Meredith?
Hey, Dan.
Hi, Stephanie. It's been 2 weeks.
I know.
MacDonald Metzger.
Hi, everyone. I'm present.
Hi, MacDonald. Jackie Moeller?
Yes, I'm here.
Terrific. Jessica Shuttler? Is John on the call, Andy, or he was not able to make it today?
Yeah, John is dealing with a healthcare issue, so we're unable to make it, but
We can certainly fill him in anything.
Yeah.
He needs to know. Raynell. Maybe not. So Andy, how about let you take this opportunity to say hello and say whatever you want to say.
Sure, and I'm sorry for being late, but I just want folks to know that I'm really excited to get to be with you all for part of the week. This academy, from my perspective, is a very important part of AUCD's kind of strategic goals as an association. We have 4 kind of priority areas, and the first one is to grow diverse and skilled leaders. And I think one of the things we're trying to do with this academy is develop an approach to cultivating leadership that works for people in very different stages of their careers and development as leaders and in very different contexts. So we've tried to develop, and I know Dan has talked about this, but we've tried to develop a curriculum that works for folks, with intellectual disabilities, works for medical doctors, works for lawyers, works for parent leaders, and people across a lot of different disciplines. And you'll see that the way that the curriculum is developed, it kind of encourages people to reflect a lot on, kind of your own personal journey as a leader and kind of what style of leadership works best for you. So, one of the things I'm hoping will develop over time, and we got very good feedback from the first cohort, and I think we're going to learn a lot from all of you and be responsive to your feedback. But I'm hoping that the whole disability field starts to see our centers as a place where they can go to get better as leaders. We already have a leadership program funded by the Maternal and Child Health Bureau, and many of our centers do things like Partners in Policymaking and other leadership programs, but we're trying to learn and do continuous improvement through this academy and kind of show an inclusive model for leadership development. So I was delighted with the diversity of the folks who applied and were selected for this year's cohort. And like I said, I think we're going to learn a lot from you. So I'm excited about it. And I really enjoyed working with the folks at Georgia State on this and the folks that they brought in from the Courage and Renewal approach to leadership. So I think you're in for I think a very important opportunity for you to reflect on how you can be as effective as possible as a leader, kind of where we are at as a movement and how we can all try to help the movement have more impact over time.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
That's a great summary, I think. And we really do appreciate your commitment. And I didn't mention before specifically, but those of you who are affiliated with UCED's Matthew Williams, our facilitator, presented to our UCED directors technical assistance meeting this spring, and many of the, I'm going to say probably the vast majority of UCED directors were there, and I believe the feedback was virtually unanimous that he was he's a really powerful and compelling, not just speaker, but he's just, and going back to that word facilitator, he's very thoughtful and helps sort of move the thought agenda forward, I think, for all of us. And so we're really excited to have him back. I'm going to go up one. This listing of all of your names, these slides, where it says AUCD Leadership Academy, we would like to remove that logo and put your photograph there. So I'm showing you that because on the next slide I'm going to show you, it says, what do we want from you and how should you prepare? The link to the hotel block will be sent to you today. There was some technical glitches with putting it on this and making it a hot link in the middle of the PowerPoint. So you will receive that in an email today. There's some discount. It's not really big from what would be commercially booked at the same time. It's a small discount. Those of you who would want to prepay, we learned this week that there's probably a $25 per night discount if you prepay. So that's, if you get to the link, my understanding is it's $152 a night. It's the Courtyard by Marriott. As I said, very close to the hotel. But I believe the prepayment price was $127 a night. But I know that can be difficult for some folks. I put it out there. We would ask you to identify and perhaps have a conversation or two with someone who might serve as a leadership coach to you over the course of the next year. It could be a direct supervisor. It could be a person in a pivotal role in a sister organization. Just someone who will, you think, spend the time, and we see the cumulative amount of time is perhaps 6 hours or 8 hours over the course of the year. But one of the things that, and I would just encourage folks to say, oh, I feel awkward asking, is say that this is part of a Leadership Academy, a one-year experience, and that they will be contributing to your professional and personal development. And anyone who would say no to that, then I would say, then you don't want them as your coach anyway. So, but I think that the people who you might not think would agree to serve in the role, you'd be surprised at the people who would be honored by the request. We are asking you to submit your photo for the directory to Mark Crenshaw. His email is here, mcrenshaw@gsu.edu, but that will be in the email that goes out to you later, because I think Mark is going to be sending that out. And then we will send out some pre-training materials. You'll get these in your books when you arrive, but we'll send them out in two ways that really have kind of 2-3 page briefings on all of the topics I just talked about. Most of that will be sent out in next week, and then the remainder, there'll be a supplement mailed after each of the remaining webinars. Or this says just prior, so I'm sorry if I'm contradicting my colleagues. So around the time of the next webinars, you'll get the 2 more waves of content. So you can begin to make your travel arrangements. As I said, please try not to book planes or any earlier than 3, or not much earlier than 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon. One of the great things about Atlanta is that there's direct flights to lots and lots of places in the United States. May not be every place that you're all coming from, but there's pretty good service. Select your leadership coach. Give us a photo. Okay, and the last item here, we didn't talk about this, and we will. This will come up. We'll talk about it next in our the third webinar. This says identify an object. We will invite you, and this will become clearer after the third webinar, to bring some item that represents something about who you are as a person and as a leader. And that sounds ambiguous. You have to fit it in your suitcase, so that's a consideration. But people last year brought books and pictures and desk items and personal items from home, and but it's something that really you will use it in part to identify yourself and to introduce yourself, and really begin to get people to say, how do you choose to present yourself to the world as a person and as a leader. So we've covered these as topics. Where and how was the approach developed? What will you learn? How will you learn? Who are you? Who are we? And how should you prepare? And I thought I had a slide on there that says I have room for questions, but are there questions? Let me go back. You're looking at my, yes. Can you see questions? Andy, I can still see you. Do you have a question?
No, I can see it says questions on the screen.
Okay.
Did you tell people how hot it's going to be in Atlanta at that time of year?
It's going to be 68 degrees with 68% humidity in Atlanta in the end of June. No, it's going to be, so you'll, yes, be prepared for the conference experience in a hot climate, which means that when you walk outside, what is our average temperature is probably 88. with 80% humidity. And as you walk inside, the average temperature will be 68 with 68% humidity. So yeah, be comfortable, but be prepared for heat. But then be prepared to be in rooms that will feel probably overly chilled. We'll probably have rain every other day. So umbrella is good. As I said, you won't have a long distance from hotel to the conference space, and we will have a bus service that will go to the Center on Civil and Human Rights. Last year, about half the group, it was a beautiful day, about half the group chose to walk or roll over. About half the group rode the bus. We do have the capacity to take the whole group by bus if the weather's inclement. Other kind of
question.
Yes.
This is JD. I'm just wondering, is the bus accessible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I believe the capacity for the bus is 2 wheelchairs, and we can do multiple trips on the bus. As I said, it's about a mile away, so the bus can make a round trip. We also designed the experience at the museum a little bit different that groups can be staggered in leaving here and staggered in returning. So yes, that bus is accessible. I know someone had sent a note asking about bathroom accessibility, and the folks in the venue sent some photographs, so that one person got that response, but the bathrooms on the level that we will operate, that we have the program, have accessible stalls. What I was told is that it is the bathrooms on the 3rd floor also have automated doors, and there's an elevator right outside the room. So if folks wanted to use the bathroom with the automated door for access, then they could elevate to the 3rd floor. Other questions?
This is Brad in Omaha. Just by way of logistics, did I hear you mention that there is public ground transportation from the airport directly to the conference area, if not the hotel, at least nearby?
Yes, the MARTA is our train system. There's a MARTA stop at the airport, and there's one major north-south line, and the airport is the southernmost stop, and Peachtree Center is is on that line. It's probably 8 or 10 stops, and someone can correct me. I think it's about $250 per ride, but yeah, it's a pretty good service.
Thank you.
Other kinds of questions? I will say we're really looking forward to this. Andy mentioned that we received some feedback last year on things we said, oh, these are things we can improve. Half of the improvements that we're making came from feedback to each other on ways that we think that we are going to be working to make it run even more smoothly, or to have to make sure that the content is integrated across all of the different modules we'll cover. We're looking forward to it being a really a great time with all of you, and frankly with all of us. We will be immersed in the learning experience also, and we'll take the ride together. If you do have questions, feel free to email them. You can email them to me. I gave you Mark Crenshaw's address before, and there's an address for the Academy. So we will check those and get back to you as soon as we can. If nothing else, then I'll sign off. Thanks all.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Andy. Good to
Thank
see you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Chatted. That was before.
That was right. Okay. She was there and she wanted